James, obviously that's the big news coming out of the gym. Stevie's effectively announced his retirement. Sort of, we knew there was issues there. He's had injuries in a lot of his fights, and it's affected his training. And so, I mean, how long for you has discussions been with Stevie? How long has Stevie been talking about it and looking at hanging him up?
It's pretty much been about a month for me and him. I know we kind of knew if none could get done with the knees, it was going to be the case. But we're also maybe going to do one or two more fights with the knees busted. But me and him's been talking about it for a month and kind of keeping it between ourselves. Well, he's seen like Lewis Mitchell, his physio and stuff like that, and he was kind of on the same page about it. Basically, like the knees are at a stage now where they're irreparable. I don't know if maybe getting a knee replacement further down the line's an option, but it's not really going to help him with an athletic career right now. So it's maybe been about a month, I think, and then he's obviously just got his head run about it and made his mind up. And I think with him, Stevie likes a Facebook Live video, but I think that's his way. Just now he can't go back on it, type of thing. Like now the decision's made and he's put it out there, and that's it. So it was kind of coming, I think, but ideally he'd have maybe had another 2 or 3 years. He's only 30-year-old and he's just come off that Michael Johnson fight, but it's the sport, unfortunately.
And I think you've got to look at with Stevie as well. Obviously, it's a sad loss for Scottish MMA, but Stevie's been in the UFC for a minute now. He's been in there fighting world class guys for a long time, and I guess that's not the point. And the other thing I wanted to actually, I'm sorry, I'm jumping to a different point here, but obviously there's a physical side of this in terms of his training, and like Stevie said in his live video, he's not able to train the same as he used to. Does that then play into the psychological side of the sport, because it is on his mind that he might not be training as much as an opponent, and surely that does have an effect going into a fight, especially when you're going in fighting guys like a Michael Johnson and stuff like that.
Aye, it's a massive part of it, man, because like your whole confidence or whatever else comes from the fact that you've put the work in. And then Stevie's not been able to work the way we'd want him to for a long time because of the knee. Like certain stuff we weren't able to do in training camps and stuff like that. So it's probably more a mental thing than a physical thing, I think, to be honest. And an easy comparison to make would be with Usman, who's got the same issues on both his knees, and he can't do a lot of shit in training, but he's still competing. He's still going out there and competing. It's such a massive thing. But I could see it in Stevie, a frustration creeping in, and that was affecting his confidence. And maybe losing rounds because he can't scramble as fast as he would have at one point. And his technique selection and stuff like that was having to get shortened because he couldn't kick for a while there. He's not got the same drive off the mat for his wrestling. So he was effectively fighting as a boxer, and he's very good there, and he punches hard, and it's winning fights and stuff like that before. But Stevie's whole thing was he was always one of the most well-rounded guys in the UK, even before he got to the UFC, and he just couldn't have that full access to all those weapons because of the injury. Yeah,
and I think if you look back in Stevie's career, I mean, Stevie's had a fantastic career. It might be that it's been cut a bit too short, but what Stevie's achieved in terms of CageWarriors world titles, and just for how long he's stayed in the UFC and how long he's fought in the promotion, because if you look at it, I would say most guys in the UFC, most guys don't last the length of time Stevie has.
Not in that division. He's been doing MMA for 12 years. He started late. He had his 8 amateur fights and whatever. He was a champion up here at SFC, then he was a champion at BAMR, double world champion at CageWarriors, and then obviously in the UFC for 11 fights. If anything, it seems like a weird comment, but he's kind of almost overachieved to an extent. For somebody who started late, hadn't done martial arts as a kid, it's a testament to his hard work, his mindset, he's the ability to throw. It was all or nothing with Stevie when it was everything for him. You've seen that way with the fact that, like, he sacked his job and he moved through to be closer to the gym and stuff like that. And what he done has been tremendous, to be fair. And we've been getting, I know he'll be getting this, but I've been getting messages off people like almost like he's dead. like, oh, I'm gutted and I can't believe he's retired and all this shit. And I'm like, well, that's kind of one way to look at it. But like for me as a coach, I've took a guy who at one point was struggling to pay his bills. Had sponsors buying him car and paying his petrol to get to training. He'd always had a lot of potential, but I've took him to, in the gyms, took him and he's took himself to 2 world titles and into the UFC, and he's now, Stevie's now came for like the best of backgrounds and money and stuff, and he's now got like a really nice house. His kids are in a nice house, growing up in this house. He's got cars. He's got the ability to kind of financially secure his future now from fighting. So the whole thing for me has been a success story. He's still, I like to say, he's still fully functioning mentally and stuff. But he's you know what I mean. But he's still he's a bit mental, but he's still like I think if you done like cognitive testing him before he started fighting, and then when he finished, he'd be like at the same level of madness. He's, other than the knee injury, which obviously stops him competing, but that knee injury is no stopping him with everyday life. He can still play with his kids. He can still fucking chase bike robbers on his bike and stuff like that. He just can't be an elite level athlete in a sport that, and in a division that requires you to be an elite level athlete. Everything is all positive for me. Like, it's like unfortunate he's 30 years old and coming off a big win, but he's walked away for the sport in a much better place than he was when he started it, and that's what you want.
Yeah, it's something that, I mean, not a lot. There's a lot of fighters that don't go that way, so that's a testament to him as well. And I guess the other thing, looking at the impact he's had in and around the gym, and Stevie, I'd love to get your thoughts on this as well. What he's achieved and where he's got to in his career, how much an influence is that for the younger guys coming through?
Stevie's probably, like, by far the best guy I've ever trained with, man. It was unbelievable for me at start when I first came through at higher level. It was really good with me. Took a lot of time to like show me stuff and that, man. And Stevie's the kind of guy that for the gym that everybody chased. Do you know what I mean? Everybody wanted to be like Stevie. Do you know what I mean? Like, the career he's had's unbelievable, and to even have like a small part in like his training camps, and that's been amazing for me to be like just a training partner with him, man. Like, just some of the, I don't think there'll be anybody really that'll take a lot anyway for anybody to match what he's accomplished in his career. And it's a shame to see him retire, man, but it's probably for the best for him now, like, because he has been struggling for a while with his knees. Like, I mean, that's been a long time, like, rolling with him and that, and then you would hear his knees popping and stuff, and just because Stevie's so tough, he's like, it's cool, man, just keep going and that, but like, you could see he was in pain. It's no good, but like, it's just one of those things, man. He's got a family, and like I said, like James was saying, man, he's came for like not having much to, he's got a really good house and nice car, and like, you know what I mean, he's done well for himself, and he's got a bit of cash in the bank, and he's secured his future as well. You know what I mean? Like, he's an excellent coach as well, so he's got his big gym through there, so he'll get kept busy with that, and it keeps him kind of still in the kind of MMA kind of circle. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's hard just to kind of, because when you've been used to fighting all your life, it's hard to just put that to one side. Do you know what I mean? But at least he's still kind of, with coaching and stuff, he's getting to see his own guys kind of progress and stuff. That'll keep him going, man. But it is a shame. It is a shame, like, to see him. But I think, like James said, I think he's probably surpassed what he maybe even set out for himself if he had goals when he first started. A lot of folk get to the UFC, but a lot of folk don't stay as long as Stevie managed to stay in the UFC, and some massive wins along the way, man. Like, we see that photo of him with, like, even like Ross Pearson when he was like first starting out, and you know, he went and ended up beating Ross Pearson. He's beat Joe Lazar, and I think probably one of the saddest things is that he's probably had the biggest win in his career on his last fight. Which is unfortunate, man. But he can't keep going the way he's going. Like, to try and go through a full training camp fighting in the UFC with only being able to specifically strike. Like he was struggling to throw kicks. He couldn't grapple properly. And Stevie's whole game is like, for me, like specifically, like some people like in the gym are specifically maybe better, like straight jiu-jitsu and stuff could maybe be slightly better than Stevie and straight striking. But see, like for mixing it up together, that's what Stevie was amazing at. Do you know what I mean? Like nobody could match him, like mixing the full package, you know, like the wrestling, the striking, the grappling all together. So it's difficult, and having that in the back of your mind, going and fighting all these killers in the UFC is like knowing that you can only do certain specific areas. It's no good, man. You can't go into a fight like that. So for me, I think he's done the right thing, and in a way, he's going out on a big high as well. So
a lot of guys don't go out on a win. Like it usually takes them a couple severe beatings to realise it's time to leave, like that happened with Pickett and Bisping and stuff like that. And Stevie's kind of gone out on his own terms to an extent. He's decided to retire. He's came off a big win, and that's a good thing. It's a rare thing as well in fighting. So like it does sound like when people are talking about it, like you're writing an obituary or something like that, but the guy's just moving on to the next bit.
Yeah, I mean that's the best way of looking at it. I guess it's a new chapter, it's a new direction for him, and he's been a great advocate for Scottish MMA over the years. So you've just got to look at what he's achieved in his career, and it's been a lot. So he'll definitely be sorely missed by the Scottish MMA fans.
Definitely.
So obviously he's down there for down at CageWarriors for Luke's title fight. I think we'll talk a wee bit about weight cutting. So it's
no, we won't.
Yeah, rough 24 hours.
I think Justin's aged a couple of years when he's been done there, by the way.
Aged, man.
CageWarriors nearly had a couple of extra fights on their fucking card with Justin v. Luke last night.
He's also been calling James Jim.
It saves energy.
It saves energy, but it also adds about 10 years onto you, mate. I thought Jim was a 50s thing.
So
you're not there yet.
We're sitting in the room yesterday watching the telly. We hadn't spoke for about an hour, and he's like, "Listen, Jim," and then didn't say anything. I was waiting on him saying something. I was like, "Stop fucking calling me Jim." And he's like, right, cool.
So
it's madness.
So it kind of kicked off in a weird sense where, well, basically, Stevie, you and Justin became the forgotten men, the 24-hour quarantine. Turned into I saw you slaving there, wee cookies and that. It was like you were on that, what was that, a Castaway or something like that, but you were in a nice hotel, you know what I mean?
Some would say they'd done a right number on us. We're in here, right? So it's maybe 24 hours, so it gets to about the 26-hour mark. So I'm messaging James, I'm like, what's happening here? Like, we're not getting out, we're still stuck here. And then it gets to about 27, 28-hour mark. I was like, and James messaged is like, right, that's us out the room. You shouldn't be too. This is like at what, was it about half four or something like that? So we're like, right, that's no bad. So it's ticking by, and James messages. I thought he was on the wind up. He says everybody should know by between 8 and 8:30, and I thought Jimmy's at it, but that was legit. So I was like, fuck's sake. So we're sitting here,
prison workouts.
We're doing the jail workouts. We're fucking, honestly, man. And then we were doing our rations, like we were doing our last kind of bit of food.
We're phoning the room service trying to get them to bring up extra tea and fucking coffee.
I was phoning the room service just shouting, that wee lassie got the fridge, but snacks! Just want the snacks to come, but we never got nothing. We got these wee shitey biscuits. So anyway, it gets to like 8:30, still nothing. So James was phoning like the lassie to like try and see what was happening. No answer. He had to go to the office. So he just went up and they were like, "Oh, what room are they in?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, they're fine. We've just forgot about them." So fucking mate, we were sitting here till like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
They thought we were in the same room as James, man.
They were literally saying we could not leave the room, so like we couldn't even open the door to get out.
No windows or nothing.
I've never been so excited to get out, man.
Did you not even open the door and just stick a toe out or something like that, just to feel the just to feel a bit of freedom.
So they're hitting you if you get caught walking about the hotel and you've not been cleared, that your guys' fights.
Your boys' fight, so we couldn't even risk it,
We're not opening the door and we can see the trolley with all the stuff on it for little rooms getting tidied. I think we should try and steal some stuff off.
The only good thing about it was I've now discovered street beefs. You watch this?
Oh, aye. I've seen it. What is it they call it? The backyard.
Satan's backyard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a GoFundMe, right? And I'm going to start seeing if we can get Wesley out there.
Aye.
I reckon that's right up the street. I honestly think he would win a few fights out there.
Wesley going out there and Satan's backyard, like.
So we've got the street beef fans and the QFC fans on the same podcast then. I was going to say, Stevie, I didn't know how long the quarantine was, but that your Celtic tap's got C.R. Smith on it. You must be in there a while.
My brother got me because it was 1990. That's when I was born, so I'm all retro now. That's my big 3-0.
Aye, oh Christ, aye, 30. Oh well, it's not all bad. So the fun really started when you got out your room then.
No, the fun really started when we went to reception. We checked in and we're trying to draw straws. So we was sharing the room with Shanks.
Aye.
Jimmy just looked at me and I was like, no chance. I done this the last time. I'm not getting the bullet for this again.
Jimmy gave Justin a look of disgust and he got the short straw.
So you drew the shot. So for people that don't know, just what's it, in a few words, describe sharing a room with Luke Shanks.
He doesn't stop talking. He doesn't stop speaking. And he only speaks about certain subjects.
Instagram,
although pretty much. Although he has come out with some guy called Mandingo.
Aye, take one out this Mandingo.
Aye, I think his fucking piece is about the same weight as Luke, to be honest.
Well, we've also found out why Luke's called the Apocalypse. He's got like a big willy for a wee guy. But
so you're in the weight cut, it didn't change. I actually got bigger than the weight cut, which is rare.
So Luke's a one MMA fighter who's... So Luke's a one...
Boxers and that on, no Shanks. Shanks, you just flop about the starkers with a pea suit, no giving a fuck.
Is that maybe why he doesn't fancy the hot bath if it's still out like that and it dips in? Might burn him a bit.
that thing's what he's saying fucking climate.
It was probably the funniest weight cut I've ever had.
You've scolded me.
Justin was spitting. Justin put the water only goes to a certain temperature and we need it like roasting hot. Mm-hmm. So Justin spit the kettle. And his leg's been in like the water. And it wasn't even that warm, but he was like,
it's neither near.
Justin, you fucking scolded me, you fucker.
my skin is falling off.
He was deadly serious, like, don't you fucking dare do that again. I wasn't happy, like, it was funny. It was really funny.
So what was happening, Justin? Was there nearly a bit of sparring before Luke's title fight in?
Sparring? Got to the point, it was like 2:30 in the morning, right? And then it just...
made you go in the bath, mate.
Aye. So this is it. After I've scolded him, supposedly, I've burnt him. So he says... Then he gets to the point where I'm still I've let some of the bath out so we can put more water in it. So we've got 2 kettles. We've had to come up and get the kettle for our room as well as the kettle for their room. We're piling it into the bath. We're just filling them, boiling them, pulling them in when he's out in the towels. And he gets to the point, don't you put any more kettles in there. If any more kettles go in there, I'm not going in. I'm not going in. You put any more, I'm not going in. I'm like,
it was don't you dare.
No, it's don't you dare. Don't you dare. And I'm like, it's not even hot. And he's like, wow, it is.
You had to get in?
And I was like, he's like, you get in. I said, no bother. At this point, I've no slept. I'm fucking starving. The room's fucking stinking. Just a weight. If you've ever done a weight cut with somebody, the room just fucking...
smells of sweat.
The room's stinking. We've been in here for ages and we're like, right, we can get this done and that. And then he's the biggest diva I've ever dealt with in a weight cut. And then, so he's like, you get in. At this point, I'm pissed off. I'm like, well, I'll fucking get in. And you've probably seen the video, and I'm like, I'll get fucking in then. And after he's like, they'll put 2 more kettles in or something, so we'll put the kettles in. I'll take all my clothes off, jumped in the fucking bar, and we're still, on the video, you can still hear them shouting things to me. I'm still arguing, I'm sitting in the bar.
2 more kettles? 2 more kettles, you bitch. You want to put those... By the time 8 minutes goes, 2 kettles will cool beer in here. No, they're not.
That was funny, man.
What's it got to be like, right? If he's a diva now, when he's cutting out, when he's got that world title on his waist, it's going to it's going to explode. I mean, that title's going to be all over Tinder. You know what it is.
I'm going to start calling him Madonna.
He's some boy.
But I guess the biggest takeaway as well is though he made weight. Yep. The fight is on. Obviously, I know there's COVID's kind of hit a few fights over the Cage Warriors card. There was also a wee bit of drama between Owen Elliott and his competitor. Obviously, you wonder with these things as well. The cameras always seem to be in the right place at the right time.
It seemed that way.
But
it was quite funny. It was funny, man. They were shouting at each other at the wearing that, like, to be fair.
Aye, it's a bit of needle shot is always fun. So out with the weight cut and the kettle dramas and all that jazz. Everything else been good? And the other issues cropped up.
Well, I had a bit an issue where Luke decided to do a job here about 3 o'clock in the morning.
I forgot about that.
We never made a noise for about half an hour, so we thought maybe he's passed it. So Justin's like, "Are you alright in there?" He's like, "I'm not fucking going to die on the toilet like Elvis." Fucking strolls it, but
then we start playing Elvis music to try and lift him around a wee bit. He's like, "Oi, play Ring of Fire."
Oi, Stevie, I don't want Elvis on. Play the Ring of Fire for me, mate. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Fucking hell. Well, if nothing else, I'm sure you could look back and laugh now.
Listen, I knew this. When I done the weight cut for Menga with him, I said to Jimmy, "You've no idea what this is going to be like. He's fucking not right. He's mad. He's mad." But this is where that weight cut out the water. Like, this has been for half a minute. It has been funny. It's been, but as you said, but the main thing is, he's made weight. The fight's on. He's bringing the belt back up the road with him, like, definitely. But it's we've had a laugh. Like, it has been funny.
Yeah, it's been good.
Aye, it's looking forward to it. It's good to have the fights on. I mean, it's a good week for fights, isn't it? Really. What we've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, then UFC, and just quickly, obviously, we just had the UFC last weekend, so just want to get your thoughts on Covington, Tyrone Woodley. Obviously, Covington got the win. I actually thought Covington looked a bit more reserved than he does normally. What did you think, mainly in how Woodley looked again?
Doesn't look like he wants to be there. Doesn't look like he wants to be there anymore. There's no... on his come up, especially, to win the belt, even in maybe his first or second defence, it was an animal. Like, he had this mad aggression. You could see he wanted to win. He enjoyed what he'd done. It looks like somebody who's been forced to do it, almost. And it's like, he's hesitant, he hangs off, and he doesn't... It's sad though, because he's an amazing athlete, and obviously he's got crazy power and that overhand right. You hear the commentators talking about it as well, but everybody's wise to that now as well, which is maybe why Covington was maybe a bit more reserved, because he's not stupid. He's not a stupid fighter, although he's a loudmouth and he's a bit mental. He's got a good fight IQ. He's not an idiot, so he knows that if Woodley hits somebody like that, he can put his lights out. But at the same time, he's maybe playing on the fact that he knows he's not as good as he used to be. It just seems like he's not there anymore. He's not mentally in it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's the problem, James, you can jump in here as well. The problem with that is when you've got a name like Tyron Woodley's and you still want to fight, even if it's just for the money, or you're going to, like, for example, that Khamzat Chimaev, he's coming through the new welterweight, and I look at that and think, if the UFC want to build him a bit more than they already have, Woodley's a perfect guy to get.
That's a nightmare for Woodley. Because he's not going to hang off. It's going to be like Khabib. The same kind of thing we've done with Khabib. They were just feeding Khabib guys, and he was just running through them. It's going to be, and I think they're probably going to build him the same way. Like,
do you not agree? But Woodley's got the perfect name for a guy like that to build him off of.
If you're about to build a young fighter, the way that's who actually has fought 3 times in the space of 2-3 months.
And he's booked again.
Who else has done that? And you think he's got a bonus every single time?
Twice Grayson.
No, there you go. It's a very limited number of people who've done that. So he's pulling eyes to the sport, similar to the way McGregor pulled eyes to the sport on a different platform. McGregor pulled eyes to the sport with talking and playing the business. That GMI is kind of similar. He just says, just give me anybody, I'll smash them. Doesn't care, I'll smash. But it's like, and he's just running through the guys. So a downcoming Woodley for a guy coming up on a tear like that, that's a perfect money build. That's a perfect viewer draw for the UFC as well. It's like it's a sad way to first put it. The same way with James, we go on talking about Stevie going on a high. Woodley's not got much left to give the UFC. They're not building it and gaining it off him anymore. It's probably going to cost him a lot of money to even show. And then, like, if you've got a guy like Jimmy coming up, his money will be going up all the time, but his wage bill compared to Woodley's, just his show and win money will be less than Woodley's appearance money, show money. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, and the thing with Chimaev as well, he's the oldest looking guy that was born in 1994 I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, playing face.
Have you seen anybody from Mary Hill?
Well, to be fair, I've not frequented Mary Hill. I like my throat and all that as it is. But obviously Chimaev in the card as well. I mean, that was spectacular. Obviously going up to middleweight and literally the first punch he threw, just putting the guy completely out. James, just quickly, we were talking about there in terms of Woodley. Go and give me quickly your thoughts on that and where you think Woodley's at in his career.
I don't think he's developed. Maybe even since he's doing the same stuff that he'd done in Strikeforce when he lost to Nate Marquardt. He backs himself up to the fence, and tries to get you to walk onto stuff. And the margin for error is really tiny. Like he's relying on this landing that, like you fall on him, and landing that super explosive right hand, and the chances of landing that repetitively in multiple fights is very, very, very low. And he landed it against Till, and it's kind of almost tricked people into thinking that it was a bit of a resurgent Tyron Woodley. But then if you go back a couple of fights before that, you had the Wonder Boy fights, which he got heavily criticised for. Then obviously he's lost. Like he got absolutely hammered off of Usman, and I think he's not developed as a fighter. And like you said, he's a former champion, so he's got name value, and we speak about this all the time. But the company's going to use the name value to bring somebody else over. It's almost like WWE wrestling to an extent, whereas somebody gets. I think the Americans refer to it as getting the rub. It's like if somebody beats them, then they kind of take his spot. So all the young guys are going to be looking at him, and that's the fight you want at welterweight, because it's going to propel you into the top 10. You've got a former champion's name on your resume, and he's not that dangerous anymore, unfortunately.
The downside is if you're the guy, i.e. Tyron Woodley, who's given the younger fighter the rub, that generally means CTE. And
he doesn't sell any favours either. Like he's quite outspoken about certain things, and he's been like that for a while. He spoke out about pay and stuff like that before, and he was probably one of the most unpopular champions ever as well when he was the champion, which is unfortunate because he's a very good martial artist, but his style is dated. And then when you see this guy and Chimaev coming up, and people are now comparing him to Khabib and Conor at the same time. He's so multifaceted. He's smashing people with that aggressive wrestling style one week, and then the next week he's walking people into that and knocking them out with that punch. And the game just passes guys passes them by after a while, and that's exactly what's happened with Woodley.
Yeah, and obviously Woodley had all his stuff at the press conference. I kind of thought Colby Covington, I can't remember the exact quote, I just know it was funny. He did mention something about his rapping. Any recollections when it was? I think he said that was the only way to get you. Can you remember what Covington said?
No. Was it John Barnes? Mine did the John Barnes one. At least they can rap.
Right. And I think it was something that the only thing he was worried about with Tyrone Woodley is if he started rapping in the cage. so it was something like that. And just a couple of other ones for that card. We had Johnny Walker back in there, the old Aberdeen Shagger back in there. He obviously got hurt himself, but then come back and finish Spam. Span rather. Fucking Spam went on with it.
What was Spam?
Aye. And James, what was your take on Johnny Walker? Does he look like he's progressed under SPG? Do you see any differences?
He still looked the exact same. He's fucking unpredictable. To an extent, you don't want to coach that out of him. You want that unpredictable madness, but when he get dropped that early, I was like, oh no, I kind of want to see him do well. I'm quite pally with a couple of the boys up in Aberdeen that are pally with him, and they say he's a really nice guy and stuff, and he shouldn't be in the UFC if we're honest. He's just a big super athletic guy in a shit weight class. But like he came out and got hurt, and then Ryan Spann just fought like an idiot after it, like his cell get clipped and then shot, and then instead of when it was getting those back kind of hammer fists and elbows to the head when he was shooting the double leg, instead of letting go, he just kept a hold of the legs and obviously get put out. But it didn't look like how you want elite level mixed martial arts to look like. It did look like a pub fight to an extent, where there's back and forth and they're off balance and flailing at each other and whatever else. But I think Johnny Walker's got the ability to drag guys into the fights, and that's exactly where he can hurt you. So if you're not smart enough to stay away from that, you've seen him losing in the UFC to guys who just don't entertain that at all. If you're going to play that game with him, he's probably going to eventually get you, and that's exactly what happened. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with him at SPG. I think he's a type of guy you're never going to change. He's already in the UFC. He's ranked number 10 in the world at light heavyweight. He's not got time to fix his defence. The UFC is going to have him out soon. He's not got time to fix his footwork and his balance, and he's not got time to learn how to wrestle. Do you know what I mean? So that he's pretty much going to be get him as fit as possible. Maybe try and teach him how to escape submissions or wee bits and pieces. But I don't imagine he's going to turn into Dominic Reyes or somebody with a really systematic approach to beating people up anytime soon. He's going to be that guy if he can drag you into an absolute scrap and you're stupid enough to get involved in that way, and then he's got a chance of beating you.
Yeah, and just lastly on that card, Donald Cerrone, Nico Price, thoughts?
I thought Cerrone looked better than I expected.
Yeah.
Price maybe didn't look as good as I thought it was going to be, but there was obviously a level of respect between the two guys, so I thought it was quite a good fight for both guys, to be honest. It played out pretty well. None of them get hurt. I don't think that fight will damage their stock in either way, but it looks like an old Donald Cerrone event, a guy who hits a bit harder and stuff like that, who couldn't have kept up with him maybe 5 years ago or longer.
It's just it's the wrong division to be slowing down in, unfortunately. It's just the wrong division to slow down in. If there's anyone you don't want to lose a step, or obviously we'll be speaking about Stevie there, lightweight is generally in most promotions fucking murderer's row.
He's up at welter, isn't he?
He's moved up to welterweight, but
lightweight.
Realistically,
he's lightweight.
I don't think
he really is a lightweight.
Nah, he's getting too old for lightweight, I think. He's quite a big guy.
But he has spoken in the past as well. He's like, when he moves to welterweight, the commitment's not there because he doesn't need to make that weight cut. So it's
Joffrey's camp, Joffrey's like the drive to do a bit extra, because if he knows he can make the weight comfortably, they can take a foot off the gas a bit, but if he knows he needs to cut to 155, then if there's an extra, if he normally does a 45 minutes extra running or sprint work or track work or any kind of cardio-based stuff, like even like Faiddine or whatever. He's got a heavy setup at that ranch that he's doing, like BMF ranch and stuff. It looks like that, so he's got all the tools. But if he knows that sit welter, then maybe don't have to do that extra 20 minutes, 30 minutes the night. Where if it's at 155, like right, and do this night, like for peace of mind kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's catch-22. He doesn't struggle to make weight, but it might take the edge off his camp. But does he really want to be pushing himself, breaking his body doing that much? You know, he's been in the game a long time. Like his body won't respond, won't recover the same way as it did 3-4 years ago. Even say the weight cut. Now, is he going to be able to safely cut the weight and then rehydrate correctly to perform at 155? Probably no. Maybe that's why he's moved up to 170.
Aye, and again, it's what we're speaking about. He's a victim of his own success because he's built that reputation and that name. When you lose that step, then you don't get any easy matchups in the UFC. What do you think about guys like? I don't think Cerrone ever would. What do you think about guys like that potentially that don't want to stop fighting, but maybe stepping away from the UFC and going over to like a Bellator where they can add name value? And let's be completely honest, they're not going to fight the same calibre of opponents.
They're not going to fight the same calibre of opponents all the time, but there's killers out there as well. Do you know what I mean? There's young guys.
Yeah.
The Bellator welterweight division's pretty good. I think he could probably do well at lightweight there, especially when the Chandler's away. But the lightweight division's not great at Bellator. But the welterweight division, I think the top 5 or whatever are pretty comparable with the UFC. I think they're.
Lima and Bill, obviously. Lima, Daly, MVP, guys like that.
Yep.
But I guess it's that thing. It comes to everybody. Just comes to you a bit sooner when you're a fighter. Your career's just not as long, and it does come to an end at some point. You've got to imagine the amount of fights Cerrone's had, the amount of quick turnarounds he's had. All that is going to have that wear and tear. It's going to have an effect long term.
And he's a madman as well. Going on there.
He doesn't just train. He doesn't just train excessively well. He likes to enjoy himself. He's like on motorbikes, paintball, and jet skis, wakeboarding, any kind of extreme.
Sounds like Callum Murray.
By the way, the Bulger. Cowboy's got a belt in the UK. That's Bundy's idol.
What's that?
Cowboy only had a big belt in an RV. Bundy's just put his a camper van.
Let's move on. This is the hot topic of the day. Callum Murray, Bundy. Let's discuss his interview. Potentially one of the best interviews I've ever seen. I've never seen a fighter. So what, done karaoke? Did he triangle himself at one point?
Triangled himself.
I think Danny Henry had commented that the only difference between Bundy and the couch is the couch pulls out, and then Callum decided to show us the fact the couch does actually pull out. Obviously, the other thing, James beat you with to the ugly comment. You were a bit slow in the mark, Stevie. Disappointed in you, mate.
You were insane. You didn't even work it. We forgot about it.
It was an absolute brilliant interview with Katie Hunter.
Some chemistry between them two. I think they should probably have their own show sometime.
Well, you'll meet her soon when he brings. You'll meet her soon when he brings her back in the van. What's that?
When they can set up the camper van as a portable podcast. The problem is that couch is like the fake agent couch. Yeah, it's like a casting couch. You see the thing in the camper.
Is Callum gave Luke a key to that camper van, just out of curiosity?
Oh, the two of them, man. He was seeing him a tour around it and all that. He's going, I really like this, Shags. They're already talking. Callum's trying to, like, as soon as he gets back from Bahrain, he's wanting to go a trip and all that.
We've had boys met on the message.
He was going to this. He's invited Cal Eleanor and all that for TFT. They're wanting to go on a mad camping trip to this camper van.
up north in the camper.
So somebody's definitely getting to jail in that trip. 100%. Brilliant. Anyway, I thought I'd just mention that. It was a cracking interview. Just the last thing I wanted to sort of speak a wee bit about is obviously we've got the UFC this weekend. The main event is Adesanya Paulo Costa. Just before we talk about the fight, did you see the two of them meet each other? And it kind of, that was one I thought would be explosive, and it sort of wasn't.
Nah, it was alright, just like, he was kind of going, you're looking skinny and kind of just normal banter, but it wasn't as intense as I thought it might have been, because that Costa seems like
He's pretty explosive.
a bad, angry man. Like,
he's a live wire, him.
That's a great fight though. Like, it's hard to pick a winner for that man. Like, it just depends how Adesanya manages to keep the range, but that Costa he just goes forward like constant, and he's no scared to take a shot. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes, man. I can't really see it being on the ground at all.
There's going to be fireworks in that fight, I think. It's, as Stevie says, it's going to be down to who manages the distance better, who can find the range quicker and find the rhythm quicker. Although, like, Costa doesn't even fight. Doesn't he like a rhythm? It's just go. Everything just go. There's no set rhythm. And he puts you. It seems like he puts people under a horrendous amount of pressure with that just constant forward. But try to deal with somebody that size, that powerful, coming at you like that constantly. It's horrible. Like,
and it's like you say, Stevie. He doesn't mind taking a shot. And the thing is, he showed in his fight with Romero that he can take a shot as well.
He can take a shot, and that it's. I think timing will be key with this, like, because Adesanya's going to have to try and catch him on the way in, like, and just set something nice up. But it's going to be hard to keep that range and stay away from for that, like, the full 25 minutes, man. Is it a bigger cage or is it a smaller cage? Do you know if it's a bigger cage or
a big cage?
So that'll probably suit Adesanya to move a bit more, like. But it's an amazing fight. It's really hard to pick a winner. I think I'm edging towards Adesanya on points, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one because Costa could spark him as well, but I would go Adesanya points if I'm having a guess.
I think personally, the longer the rounds go, the more it suits Adesanya's style. He'll be able to. Let's see if Costa can keep that intensity up for 25 minutes, stay constantly chasing. And if Adesanya's movement, and that's phenomenal. So he's hard to pin in. He's hard to box in. So if you're chasing somebody like that, and you're not getting much success, you're not landing much, it's tiring. And Costa doesn't float anything. There's no tappy shots. He throws to knock your head off with every single thing he's got. So that itself, if you're swinging and not connecting properly, and you're swinging and missing on a guy like Adesanya, and if Adesanya can get his timing, like Stevie says, only misses or only slight pauses and hits, and he just peps him up for a couple of rounds, that'll frustrate him. He'll throw harder, he'll get tired quicker, and that plays into Adesanya's the kind of ballpark, doesn't it?
Aye. And James, for you, are you leaning one way or the other on this one?
I'm completely Adesanya. I think it's that kind of skill versus physical ability type of, or strength and aggression matchup. I think the more aggressive you're with Adesanya, the better it is for him, because his game is kind of pressure counter fighting, and what you've seen when he fought Yoel Romero was, because Romero refused to lead and pressure him, he ended up in a boring kind of match where not a lot happened, and Costa's probably not going to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if Costa tried something else and maybe tried to wrestle him. I know a lot of people don't think he will, but I think he's got that in his locker, and I still don't think. Even Whittaker didn't try and wrestle Adesanya, but you've seen what happened. Whittaker went for Adesanya, and the harder you go at him, the harder you're going to run into his shots, and his timing and his appreciation of distance and stuff like that is phenomenal. So he's going to be moving around and angling off as Adesanya's rushing him, and he will catch him. And when he's running into these shots, the leverage is completely different for if you're planting your feet or if you're moving away from them. And I think it'll be a lot easier than what people think. That may come back to bite me in the arse, but I think style-wise it's tailor-made for Adesanya to look good.
Aye, let's just hope it's not another Romero-Adesanya fight. That was
I don't think it can be, because Costa will know that happened.
No. That's it. Well, listen, lads, thanks for jumping in and sharing your adventures of weight cutting with Luke Shanks, episode 1. We'll be catching up with you next time he's fighting, just to see if there's any more antics.
I'll not be here the next time he's fighting for the weight cut. I'll come down the day of the fight.
just let Stevie let Stevie do it all. He can deal with it.
He was trying to fight me at one point. Oh,
Was he?
oh.
Right, but you can't say that and no elaborate. So
he says at one point it was getting a wee bit tougher with the weight cut, and he says to me, "Right, Stevie, I don't fucking want you here, mate." And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" And he was like, Just let me have peace." And he says, "I need to put my music on." So he shouts, "Lights off" to Justin. I'm sitting there like in the fucking dark, and he's like, "Stevie, get fucking out." So he puts his mad meditation music on, and I'm like, "What the fuck is going on here?" So he puts me out. He says, "Just give me a minute's peace." So I was like, "Right, cool." He's fucking. Okay, it's obviously going to be a bit tougher. So I went out. So James was like, "Stevie, check he's still in the bath, like not trying to jump out of that, obviously." So I popped my head in, and he just went, "What did I fucking tell you? Get fucking out!" And he jumps out the bath, man. He actually kind of went. He actually went for me a bit, and I've just fucking shut the door and like left him be. I was like, "I fucking it." He said, "That's it. I'm not going back in and all that." I said, "You're fucking going back in, alright."
Fucking hell. So,
anyway, made the weight. Fucking.
So wait a minute. I need to jump in on this. So Justin, not only were you running the kettles, but you were basically his Alexa as well then.
Oh, Stevie was his Alexa.
Stevie,
I've never had anybody come me fucking order people about as much.
Honestly,
it's like,
man.
He's like, "Get the lights out. Turn the light out. No, turn that one out. Turn that one out."
Stevie, put that ice cube on my head, mate. I need the ice cube. I need it on my forehead. And I'm like, it's getting a bit much, mate. I was like, fucking just get on with it.
Done a right number. I was like,
He also fucking got up during the night, waited till I was asleep. Crawled, kept the light off, crawled for his bed like a wee dog, ran about my bed and ate half an orange and went back to sleep. Like a commando. He's like, "I'll just store it."
Or in his words, I was like a little rat.
That's what he says, like a little rat crawling on the ground. He's like a fucking crackhead.
So if you ever the next time any of you two are cutting weight, do you plan on having Luke Shanks present to extend the torture?
I want him there.
Jimmy's talking about doing a fight just to get him to boss him about a wee bit.
Well, I think that's as good a note to end on any. Like I say, thanks for coming on. Obviously, look forward to the fight some more. I'm sure he's all be coming back up with a happy Luke Shanks with a shiny new belt.
Yeah.
That diva level will be going up to 100.
Right.
Right, lads. Cheers, man. Right, thanks very much for coming on, lads.
Right.
Appreciate the time, as always. Right, cheers.